car enthusiasts, we've all had our fair share of positive and negative experiences with car enthusiasts. That's the thing with owners, they're always passionate about what they drive, and sometimes it can become a little bit toxic. However, there is one group of people who I've always had a positive experience with, and that is Mini enthusiasts. Because whether you've got a £500 Mini one that you bought off of Marketplace or a top of the range Mini GP3, every Mini is welcome in the community, and they celebrate the diversity of both their members and their cars. And that is why I'm so excited to have another Mini on the channel. My Mini videos always do really well because I think you guys can feel how much I really love this brand. Yes, they have their flaws, and I will talk about that, but overall I can't help but fall in love with all the cars that I drive. The Mini Countryman was launched in 2010, and it was a way to keep owners in Minis. When they outgrew their small 3-door hatchbacks and they needed something with a bit more space, they created the Mini Countryman. That meant that all of these owners could stay in their beloved Minis, but they're now much more practical for families alike. Throughout the years, there's also been a ton of special editions. Some of my favourites include, there was the Goodwood edition, a collaboration between Mini and the Rolls-Royce design team, red, white and blue models for the 2012 London Olympics, and a Pat Moss edition to celebrate the legendary female rally driver. However, Mini's latest edition is this one. This is the Mini Countryman Untamed edition. And in today's video, I'm going to tell you what makes the Untamed so special, but also just my overall feel on the Mini Countryman in its latest 3rd generation. So if that sounds good, then please do keep watching. And guys, if you do like reviews like this, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Things have slowed down a little bit. I feel like I'm not pushing you guys hard enough, but please, if you are watching this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Okay, so first, let's talk about the exterior details that you get with the Untamed edition. The Untamed edition is a trim line which is dedicated to the Mini Countryman, and it aligns with everything the Countryman stands for. The clue is in the name, country. This vehicle is supposed to give you a sense of adventure, that you can tackle all terrain. However, the Mini Countryman has never actually been a very good off-roader. In fact, it was one of the first glorified SUVs. It almost started the trend. And let's face it, most people who buy Mini Countrymans don't need them to go across muddy fields. You go for something with a full all-wheel drive system. However, the Untamed edition of this car does get the addition of Mini's all-4 system, which makes it a little bit better at tackling all terrain. I'll talk about that when I drive it. But first of all, design. You get this really nice bluey grey paintwork, or you can also have it finished in white. Both colours look really nice with the contrasting elements, and that includes a contrasting black gloss grille, black badges, black light surrounds, wing mirrors, and also door handles and roof. You also get some limited edition 18-inch alloy wheels, which have been designed for this car. I will say that if you are someone who has a lot of fights with curbs, these are a pretty busy design, so they might get expensive when it comes to repairing them. You also get some decals which just finish off the look of the Mini Countryman Untamed edition, and if you look around the car, you've got some badging. You've got a little plaque on the front here which is actually 3D printed, and you've got some badges in the rear quarter and on the back. My only problem with these Untamed badges is they just look a little bit like aftermarket stickers that you get from car shows. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but for some people that may not be to their taste. However, it'd be very easy to remove those small decals. Now, where this car gets really special is inside. The interior is really very special, and it's what's made me fall in love with this car so much. You get some very nice high quality leather seats, and they're those classic Mini seats with loads of intricate details. They're finished in a very nice dark green leather, and then you've got the contrasting fabric in the middle, and you've also got some piping finished in light blue. This piping around the seats also matches with some of the plastic around the dash, and I love the design of the dash. It's finished in a mountainous design, so you've got that stacked layering of different greys. It's just very pretty. And this, in fact, also lights up at night, so it looks really good, whether it's the daytime or the nighttime. You've also got that mountainous design in little pins which are on the sides of the seats. It feels very high quality and very special. You've got a nice leather wrapped armrest which actually features some wireless charging. It's got all the wonderful details which are so iconic to Mini, and that includes these heavy weighted, almost fighter jet buttons. You've got that fantastic glowing start stop button which I love so much. And then you've got your physical climate control dials which just always feel really good quality, and they make using them when driving easy. And that's a good thing, because one thing which isn't so easy to use when driving is the touchscreen. This trim level can be specified on a few different engines. So you've got the entry-level Cooper, which has around 140 brake horsepower. You've got the sportier Cooper S, which I've got today, which gets around 170 brake horsepower and feels much more nippy underfoot. I always forget how much I enjoy driving Minis. Obviously, I'm spoilt for choice and I get to drive some really cool cars. And I kind of forget how good these things are. And I think, yeah, Minis are all right. I like Minis. There's a very big tractor coming, about to let him have his moment. But I really do forget how fun these cars are to drive. And I'm not kidding you, for the first time in a long time, including things like the Mustang convertible, this is a car that I'm going to really miss, because it just feels like the ultimate daily. For me personally, I know that SUVs aren't everybody's taste, but I've always quite liked an SUV, loved my Volkswagen T-rocs, and actually I feel a bit bad for not convincing my mum to go and drive one of these before she opted for the T-roc, because yeah, I really like this. You have that combination of the space, you sit up higher, you've got the all-4 system, which I'll speak about in a moment, so that's going to get you out of some sticky situations. But you've got all the sportiness of the best Minis. So this has the Cooper S engine, and that means it's got 192 brake horsepower, which is a lot really, isn't it? I mean, yes, it's not like a performance SUV, like something like the T-roc R or the Audi SQ2, but it does feel super sporty. You've got a great noise which comes from the exhaust. The steering is really, really well weighted. And I have to say, the highlight of this car for me is this automatic gearbox. I don't know if it's because I've just come off of the back of having the Mustang convertible, and the 10-speed Ford automatic, terrible. It was so laggy, it was kind of, you could feel it changing. This is so very smooth. When you're in sport, it changes at the right times. When you want it to change, it gives you that really good noise from the exhaust, but it changes up when you want it to. Doesn't leave it hanging like some other cars. And then when you're in eco, it's so smooth, you barely feel the changes at all. It's just a very, very good box. And I guess maybe I'd forgotten that. After all, BMW and Mini do create very good automatic gearboxes. And I do have to keep remembering that as much as I'm falling in love with this car, it is expensive. It is one of the most expensive when you compare engines and spec to some of its competitors. But I think if you love a Mini, it's worth splashing out on. What I want to know is, did the person who had the idea of Union Jack rear taillights get a pay rise? Because these are some of my favourite modifications to the new generations of Minis. They really elevate the car and they just give it such a strong brand presence. I really, really like them. If you go for the Cooper S version of the Mini Countryman Untamed, you also get a pair of twin tailpipes, which is always nice. And they sound pretty good as well, which I'll show you in a moment. Now, inside the boot, you get a decent amount of luggage space. And the boot in general is just very practical. It's a nice and wide opening, and this boot floor is quite low as well. So whether you're loading in items, you're getting dogs in the back, or you're putting pushchairs in the back, it's really easy to load all of your luggage. I do think we're quite spoiled nowadays when it comes to rear interior space in electric cars, because you forget when you're in a petrol car you need to have a transmission tunnel, and that instantly makes legroom for the middle seat passenger a little bit more tricky to navigate. Although space in the back here is not too bad. I think even on long journeys, people who weren't too tall would be nice and comfortable. The quality is all still spot on back here as well. I am obsessed with this leather interior. It's so pretty. I love the contrasting green and the light blue. You've also got electric windows and 2 USB slots. The Mini Countryman itself sits at the higher end of the SUVs on sale today, with prices for the Cooper Classic starting from a little under £30,000, or the cheapest Untamed starts from around £4,000 more. However, the lovely details like the two-tone wheels, the Highland green leather is all included, and options like sat-nav, keyless entry, CarPlay, sensors and heated seats are all standard. But that does put it in direct competition with premium rivals like the BMW X1, Audi Q3 and Alfa Romeo Tonale. Not that any of those cars has the kind of personality of the Mini. So I mentioned at the beginning that the Mini Countryman is fitted with the all-4 system and that it wasn't a real off-road four-wheel drive system. And I guess that's a little bit mean. That's not giving credit to Mini, because it is a good system. But what I mean by that is, though it does have the ability to move all 4 wheels, it doesn't do it all the time. It's always kind of focused on that front wheel drive, but also there's no modes like rocks, because essentially with the body kit on this thing, it has got good ground clearance, but it's not great ground clearance. So it's not set up like an off-roader. Is anybody surprised? No, not really. But in terms of how the all 4 system works, is when it senses that the car is beginning, my God, we've had tractors, we've had ambulances, everything today. When the car senses that some of the wheels are starting to slip, so if the front wheels are starting to slip, it will send up to 70% of the power to the rear wheels to unstick you, and it'll also kind of just balance out between the front and rear axle the power delivery, so it gives you the best possible chance of tackling things like ice and snow. Of course, I haven't been able to have a chance to actually tell how this works, but you can tell that by the way it sticks round corners, the way that it handles, that it will be pretty robust. But of course, you can't go comparing it to something like a Land Rover Defender. Despite what the name might suggest and the addition of all 4, the Mini Countryman Untamed isn't exactly an off-roader. But then again, anyone that knows their Minis knows that these cars were not really designed for that. They're designed for adventures, perhaps more adventures in a city, and it's really good at doing that. I've had a fantastic time with the Mini Countryman Untamed, and I think that interior is really, really very special. It's made me fall in love with this car. I think I've said that 3 times now, but it's true. The interior really does make you feel like it's worth spending that extra money over some of its rivals, which are a little bit more boring on the inside. But let me know, what do you think of the Mini Countryman Untamed edition? Should they have made this be able to scale rocks and go over mountains? Yeah, it's really not necessary, is it? But if you think it is, let me know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, as ever, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, then please do go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Until next time, bye.